Hello, 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 hello. Terry Hardin, Walt Disney's legendary Imagineer here. And you probably noticed on Friday, if you visited me on Friday, that first I sounded like a frog. I was doing only about 50% steam because I still had COVID. And I completely spaced on the Bob Chapek thing. And when I got off, I was like, oh my God, I didn't even discuss it. But I was so excited to talk to you on Friday. A lot of questions were about COVID-19 and how I was dealing with it. I tested negative on Saturday, which is a hurrah, but I am still I'm everyone who's had COVID before me has told me that it gives you a false sense of security when you're well, that it makes you think that you're all well and you're not all well. Now, that doesn't mean after some of the after effects that happen because you've gotten COVID. I'm not talking about those. What I'm talking about is that you have been 2 weeks dealing with this virus that's just under 2 weeks for me. And you weren't moving a lot and you were confined to your space if you were quarantined. I was quarantined in my office. So that was the challenge for me is all of a sudden I felt really funny going into the rest of my home, not so sure the test was accurate. Like, not that the test wasn't accurate. I had my husband check it, but that you've been 2 weeks in isolation, you've been masking, you've been gloving, you've been washing, you've been sanitizing for 2 full weeks, that you've kind of created a habit. And so to go back to the way you were, you're a little trepidatious. I don't know if anyone out there has had COVID is felt trepidatious, but I did. And once my husband said I was fine, I started to I tried, but Friday I pushed. So today will probably be a bit of a short talk to you guys because I need to really focus on resting because this Sunday, a week from yesterday, is Disneyland's birthday, and I would really like to go. I may not be able to go for a long amount of time. Like I used to go 8 in the morning, rope drop, whatever that is, to about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then I would come home. So about, 6, 7 hours. But I'm not going to do that this year. I'm probably only going to do about 4 hours because I'm coming off of COVID. And many of my dear friends who are close to my age, 65, have said that it's best that I don't push because you've got to be careful. One of the things I'm finding is if I stand up too fast, I get dizzy, and you don't want to get dizzy or lightheaded while driving. All right. And it takes me an hour to get to and from Disneyland. So I'm going to have to be really, really super, super careful because the last thing you want to do is to get into a car accident or jeopardize other lives because you're not 100%. So one day at a time, relax, relax, relax. Okay. Wish that was the case with Chapek, with Bob Chapek, because I wasn't watching the news and all of a sudden I found out they rehired him for 3 years. I was like, excuse me? Were you not shocked at this? I mean, I noticed that somebody sent me, excuse me, a photo from Paris where Bob Chapek was sent to Paris and Captain Marvel was like looking at him like he had 3 heads. And I just laughed at that. I thought that was hilarious. Her face steals the show as she just can't believe. I mean, I don't know what was actually happening in Paris, but I can't believe what's going on with this guy. Okay. It would be one thing. Okay. And please post in the comments anything that you want to say. Okay. But I just can't believe our stock is literally like a plane going down, like both engines are blown and it's crashing onto it's on its way to exploding in a mountainside. Okay. So usually what will happen with people who are the ones who are, overpriced because they're trying to overpriced, their kids can't go to the park, the money's too high, up, up, up. You feel like a cash cow just being milked. I've heard this from all of you. Forgive me. You see, bits are still around. I've tested negative, but I just got to be careful not to relapse. So, but basically, usually if the stock is level or going up because of actions by a company, even if the public is suffering, people will do this rehire thing, okay? Because the stock is going up. But this is not the case with our stock, guys. Our stock is like dying. It's dying. We're frustrated with this person. And why? Well, my husband had a really interesting spin on it. He said that there's probably no one else who wants to step on the platform that Bob Chapek has right now because he screwed it up so badly. You know, when someone has messed up everything and you've got to clean it up, do you really want this job? And is it going to take one person or is it going to take many to repair all of the damage? So the idea of having him for 3 more years really makes me uncomfortable and very, very concerned. Because I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, what do you think? But I don't think it's a good idea. But if there's no one else to fill that seat, and Iger's like, yeah, no, I don't want it. I mean, I can't speak for sure that Bob Iger has said that, but Bob Iger sure isn't, running to replace him. I know that all he'd have to do is burp in the general direction of Disney, and they'd probably have him back. I know I would, personally. But my thinking is this, that I had to throw that out, so why watch me leave camera. The fact is this, that if you don't have anyone willing to step up, and if Bob Iger says, no, I don't want to do it, sorry, not interested, well, then what are you left with except for extending that which is already there? So this was my husband's thought, because you've noticed that ever since COVID, and people started to realize they didn't, there were certain things they did have to do and certain things they didn't have to do, that they started to take back their power. And by taking back their power, they, like, let's say you're a server and you were abused as a server. Maybe you're working for a restaurant where the person was abusive, the people were abusive, or the people you were serving were abusive. And you realized that there were a plethora of restaurants that wanted your help. So you didn't have to stay at, forgive me, I heard a rumble, like there was a truck driving through something. Okay, whatever it was, it must have been my imagination. Anyway, but then you don't have to stay at Toxic Tony's restaurant. You can leave Toxic Tony. I'm just making up a name. And then you can go to a restaurant that appreciates you, people that want to nurture you, and it's a fun environment. It's a non-toxic environment. Maybe you have a toxic person at your workplace, and all of a sudden you begin to realize, especially when you were working at home with COVID, having you work at home, that you didn't have to take a lot of that which you thought you had to take prior to COVID. I mean, I'm not assuming, but I am noticing it in a lot of business in the entertainment industry. One of the things that's very interesting about the entertainment industry is that the Screen Actors Guild, of which I am a member of, has got some new revisions happening in our contracts that are really, really interesting. And what's interesting about them is that actors are starting to take their power. For example, I'm just going to touch on this lightly so that it kind of shows you that if Disney is in a situation now where they're not necessarily the happy apple, people are really not so happy with Disney right now. Would you agree? If you are, talk to me. But you're spending extra money. You're spending extra money for rides. You're spending extra money for convenience. You're making appointments. Everything costs like a lot of money. It's impossible for a family of 4 to go. Count on your fingers. I don't have enough fingers or toes to talk about all of the changes that have made you all so sad. And nobody's asked you. If they just ask you, life would be a lot better. The merchandise is kind of meh. Even Disney Plus, when you look at Disney Plus and you see some of the stuff at Disney Plus is really cool. Some of this new Marvel stuff, this new their content that they're creating themselves is really bleh. Ben Kenobi, sorry, no way. Ben Kenobi's a wuss. Darth Vader has lost his mind. I don't know what they were writing. They certainly weren't doing a Star Wars. And now my husband is talking about, they did a Doctor Strange, which made no sense. And then he's talking about that the new Thor movie, Love and Whatever, is a disaster. That people are screaming about it. Now, I'm not a Marvelite. So I don't know. I haven't seen it. Don't care to go to the theater to see it. But what's interesting is my husband likes Marvel, and he's talking about walking away because he just can't stand to watch what Disney is doing to the brand. He says the same about Pixar. He doesn't believe Pixar has had a really good movie since Lasseter left. And so whether you agree or disagree, this is what's happening. The Star Wars brand is sinking. The Marvel brand is sinking. I mean, how is it? I asked him this yesterday, my husband, I asked, because he's a Marvelite, right? And that Spider-Man 3, where you had it was called Spider-Man 3, Spider-Verse, whatever it was, where we saw all 3 Spider-Men and we saw lots of villains. Okay, when we were waiting to see this movie, because my husband is high risk, I kept telling myself, I'm going to hate this. Okay? You guys know, if you're a couple in the world, that the wife has movies that she likes and the husband has movies that he likes, right? My husband gets a little bit tired of me always wanting kick butt movies. That's why the Reacher series was so good, because I love just watching people. I mean, I just love some, person doing right, kicking butt and, righting wrongs. So I like those kind of movies. I think those movies are really fun. I don't even mind if the guy's a little bit superhero-y, because I just enjoy those movies. Good, the bad, the ugly. Pretty much any Clint Eastwood movie I pretty much love. I won't say all of them because, I love you, Bronco Billy, not my cup of tea. But there's several others, but there's so many that I love. And so, but my husband doesn't like to be inundated by the same thing. He likes more of a variety, and he loves Marvel. So I knew for him, I was going to have to go to this Marvel thing. So I brought a blankie and a pillow, and I was going to go to sleep during the Spider-Man movie. And to my surprise, I absolutely loved it. And it had all of the points that I don't like in a film. It had more than one villain, which I cannot stand 9 times out of 10. When you have 2 or 3 villains, it splits the focus and it makes the movie kind of a mush. And then they had more than one superhero, not 1, not 2, but 3 Spider-Men. And then you had the 2 sidekicks. So it was full of people, which I usually hate. This is what I really hated about Avengers Ultron and the Endgame. If Rocket hadn't been in there from Guardians of the Galaxy, I would have had nothing to watch. It was just too much. And this is too much for Terry Hardin, Walt Disney's legendary Imagineer. So let me be clear, too much for me. So I was sure when I went to see the Spider-Man movie that my husband was like, because he really wanted to see it. He had heard all these good reviews. Everybody was really raving about it. You guys remember. And we went, and I was riveted. And it was over 3 hours, this movie. And I was riveted. So I don't understand how they are doing such a great job with it. And now these sequential movies, which are made by Disney, because my husband says, number one, that movie wasn't made by Disney. So now that's what I'm saying. With Disney being sort of in the doghouse, I mean, it's Disney. So you guys love Disney and I love Disney, but we want Disney to be strong. And right now, they really are doing some things that are just terrible. And BoB is at the helm of a lot of them. So we're kind of like, why would you renew it with this person who doesn't seem to understand how a theme park works, how a Disney machine works? He seems to be doing everything the opposite of what you should be doing. And sometimes that's good, but not in this case. So I just wouldn't put bad after bad, But if you don't have any good to follow, they're saying to themselves, I've often said I don't want to jump from the frying pan into the fire. So this may be the Disney attitude when they renewed his contract for 3 years. Yeah, he's bad, but we don't want worse. It's a shame when in your life, when you have to choose between bad or worse, as opposed to good and bad, right? So that's what my husband's theory is, and I don't know what you think, but let me know. But thank you for your well wishes. I have tested negative for COVID-19. Woohoo! And now it's about going slow and recovering nicely, because I would like to go to the birthday Sunday, and I won't be cleared if I don't take care of myself and just go slow. And when you're a doer, okay, if you're a doer out there and you've had COVID or you haven't, um, you talk to me about your coming back, because for me it's been very challenging. I will push and then wish I hadn't, and it's only Monday. There you go. So we won't be doing that today. We won't be doing that to you. We won't be doing that to me. We won't be doing that to us. We're going to take it easy. But let's go to you right away. Is there anything I want to let you know beforehand? Yes. Haha, you thought you might get away, but no. Every day, every Monday and Friday before I speak with you, I speak with my tribe, Terry's tribe, on Patreon. I highly encourage you to be a part of it. $5 a month and $60 a year. So it's very simple. Skip a Starbucks, a coffee, and pocket that change, and you'd be able to pay for a month of on the membership site. It's really worth it. I really over deliver on this one. I do a Zoom call every week. Today it's going to be tonight, Monday night, because because believe it or not, guys, I listen to you. So many said that they would love to be a part of the Zoom call, but Wednesdays just doesn't work for them in the afternoon. And so they said evenings would work, because they sort of, they work, they go like to the office or work, away from home. So I created a Monday night call twice in a month, and then a Wednesday afternoon twice in a month. And we kind of go back and forth. Okay. Sometimes it's Monday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Monday. It really depends on some other appointments I have in the morning. Everyone is kind enough to allow me to move that Wednesday around, because for some reason, Wednesday is a popular day for some people. And it's like, hey, don't you know that I'm on Zoom at that time? Don't we say that like it's all about us? So they don't even know. But anyway, the point is that I have Monday night ones now, and it's really a great group of people. It's a great come in from the cold group of people where we help each other. Because it's a private page, you can speak your mind pretty freely, and then we have these really deep conversations, and then sometimes we have these really light and fluffy conversations. What's going to happen tonight? The main goal tonight on the Terry's Tribe Zoom, and here's where you go: patreon.com/Terri Hardin. Check it out. Just get the first tier. There's lots of tiers. They go up from $5, but $5, just go in there, test the waters, see if you like it. We'd love to have your voice be part of it. But tonight, since it's been a long time since I've spoken to everybody, I'm hoping I won't be doing a lot of talking. I'm hoping they're going to share with me what they've been doing for the last 2 weeks when I've been sick and unable to have a Zoom call or broadcast. As you all know, I haven't been able to do that. So that's what's happening tonight. We're going to try and keep it to 2 hours, because 6:30 to 8:30 is fine for Pacific time. But if we go to 9, it means midnight for the East Coast. So we're trying to be cognizant of the East Coasters who want to stay, but don't want to stay up that late. So honestly, and they do. A lot of times they'll push because we're doers. There's not a lot of non-doers in the tribe. And so we'd love to have you. We talk about the challenges that you're having in your life, all kinds of different levels. Maybe you'd like to make a living doing what you love. I talk a lot about that, and we talk a lot about that. That's the cool thing, is you don't just get me, you get everybody. And that's what's so beautiful about it. Some great people in the tribe. So please consider at least checking it out. And it really doesn't cuff you. You do not have to commit for a year. You can pay month to month at $5 and decide whether it's for you, and if it's not, then you can leave, but I think you're going to love it. If you can be a part of it, I think you're going to love it. You can always go later and see some of the things I'm going to start to do. One of the things, I'm part of the Patreon ambassador program, and I'm not a big deal on Patreon. I have to let you know that I'm kind of a little fish, but I have a great group of people. And one of the things that the ambassadors told me is that I have longevity. People stay with me. And so a lot of times the questions with the ambassador is, how do I keep my audience? And basically, I just look for people with heart who want to help each other. So if you're that person, please consider, sharing your voice with all of us and being a part of this group, because we really love to hear from you. We really love your input. It's a place where we do listen, where we do try to be part of the solution as well. And believe me, if a bunch of us decide to do a campaign to, let's say, a Bob Chapek, we'll do it. Because who knows? It might be the tiny little voice that gets through. We don't know. And we don't want to be laissez-faire about everything. It's so easy to say, he won't care. But who knows? Maybe something will get through the thick skull and say, hey, you're really screwing up here. So who knows? So that's what I want to share with you. Please be a part of it if you think it's something for you, and know that you could try it. And then if it's not for you, it's like, the hokey pokey. You put your right foot in, you put your left foot in, you put your right foot in, and you shake it all of that. You just check it out. And if it's not for you, it's not, okay. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. It's not gonna, we don't want to lose you once you're in there, because we're a really terrific group of people. I've got some major people who have helped me out. So it's a yin and yang thing, seriously. So I'd love to have you, but just check it out and see if there's a level you'd like to go. Now, I will warn you, if you're someone who wants to go at the higher levels, I am slowly building each rung. So right now, the $10 level and the $5 level were very, very strong. But the $25 level, which is the tutorial level, doesn't have a lot in it yet. So don't join at that level, $25. You can if you want, but I don't want you to be disappointed. I'm really trying hard to work on that level, but there are other things that are kind of in front. So I'm only one person. And one of the things I say to you as an artist is, if you're a doer, you can't do everything. You've got to kind of pick and choose. And you can't beat yourself up for not being a superwoman. And I'm saying I go through this, which is why I'm saying to you, this is one of the things that we state. So $5 levels, fine. $10 levels, fine. Whatever you want to do is great. And I really appreciate it. But take a look and come and join us is all I'm saying. Okay. All right. That was one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about, as I do every time, because you never know who is going to realize that they want to be. We just had a new member join, and she said she couldn't believe how much fun she had, because we had a meetup when I was given the Legends Award with the Disneyana Fan Club, and they just had a great time. And then the Disneyana Fan Club loved them. They loved the Disneyana Fan Club. And it became this really wonderful, exciting thing. And artists who were very, very well known were really impressed. Like, you guys may know Garner Holt. He and his wife were blown away by the tribe. They were just like, wow, this is really interesting. And so it's exciting. Also, Garner invited us to come down for a private tour. So the tribe is going to go there, but I got sick with COVID. So now it's a matter of reaching out to Garner and saying, hey, man, let's do this thing. Because I'm way better now, because no one wants you showing up with COVID. That's not that's the typhoid Mary at the party, isn't it? Okay, let's see what you have to say. That's the one thing I wanted to tell you. Also, heads up, looks like I'm going to D23, but I don't know in what capacity. So if you're going to D23, we'll be talking about that more as we approach that time. The chalk walk is happening. Actually, it's not a walk, but it's a chalk event. And my team, Mickey's OUAC Walkers, we are raising funds to support Children's Hospital. So what I may do is a raffle here. Give me a little bit of time, but I'll probably I'm trying to find a couple cool things you guys might want to send in and be part of a raffle. Okay. All proceeds will go to chalk. Right now on the tribe, I've got several running. They're doing quite well, but the goal is to make as much money for Children's Hospital as we can. So keep your ears to the grindstone. And as I get better, I will talk more about that. Okay. All right. Back over to you guys. Hello, Randy. Good to see you. I'm not happy about this at all. No, it's weird, this Chapek thing. I remember sitting there when I finally heard about it, and I was just shaking my head. I was like, the stock is really, stockholders cannot be happy. Okay, the board cannot be happy. But but maybe they're too afraid to stick their neck out and follow him, which is one of the reasons. What is your theory? You know? Yeah. Post COVID, are your taste and smell good? Darren, here's the thing. When I turned 50, I'm now 65. I just turned 65. I can actually say I'm 65 now for real. When I turned 50, I lost half of my smell. So I've never been able to fully smell. And the thing is about smelling that's kind of fun. I still have my taste, which is great. I can still taste things, but I can't smell really nasty stuff. So for example, if milk goes bad, I can't smell that milk goes bad. If food goes bad, like meat or something, I can't smell that meat has gone bad, which is dangerous living alone. Yeah. But since my husband has a keen sense of smell, unfortunately for him, he has to be the one to tell me if the food. So a prime example. So during COVID, I kept my taste and my smell, but I couldn't use that as a gauge because I'm already 50% behind the curve, right? So so my husband was trying to make meals, and we have, I think I told you about Gobble, which is those boxes that come and you prepare the meals, right? Like there's others are Blue Chef and Green Chef, and there's another one that's very, very popular. But I think I've tried every one, because what I've learned about these boxes is that they may be a little bit more expensive, but there's less waste. And I really don't like throwing good food away. You know, with hunger and everything, you really feel terrible. If I were to go to a market and buy my own stuff, a lot of the times, because it's just two of us and we eat so little, food was spoiling left and right. So I was going crazy, and we're weird because we're not real good with eating leftovers. It has to be a really good leftover, or we don't eat the leftovers. We just are weird that way. We try, and sometimes we do. Like, for example, if I go to a breakfast with somebody and I order hash browns, I reheat them with a breakfast the next day, and I'll cook those. But there are times I won't touch certain things. And so with the boxes of things that are sent to your home, they are just the ingredients you need. Unfortunately, there are ingredients for two classic California eaters, and we are not classic California eaters, or at least in the brains of many chefs, we are not that person. So we can usually order 3 meals and it gives us 6. So I just cut the makings in half. But the point being that there were some meats that spoiled because my husband was the chef while I was sick. And I am the chef usually. Okay. I'm the one making the meals. Okay. So what I mean is, if you haven't been, in the trench doing the thing like cooking, you don't know the life expectancy of foods. Sometimes you misgauge them. Well, I've become very good because I've been doing this for a long time. I can gauge how long food lasts. I'm very clear. If it's fish or shrimp, you better eat it the next day or two, or it's dead. And he just didn't want to cook the shrimp. And so I knew he kept wanting to put it off. And I said, cook the shrimp. Like when I was sick, I'd say, just cook the shrimp and set it aside, because cooked, it's going to last longer. But raw, it's dead. I mean, you don't even want to touch it after a certain amount of time. Yes. So bless his heart, we lost shrimp. The shrimp died. And it just kills you to throw it out. But, you don't want to get food poisoning. So the point of the matter is that there can be excessive waste if we shop, because there are certain amounts that they sort of dictate. They're not really, you can't buy, I guess you could buy 2 apples, but it's more expensive than if you buy a bunch and stuff like this. Like I just bought avocados, and 7 were the same price as 2. So your brain goes. So it's a lot easier doing the gobbles whenever I can, because it gives me only the ingredients that I'm given. So this is where the taste and smell thing comes in. I really didn't miss any of that. I know it's a long version of what I said, but anyway, I didn't miss any of that. But my husband is the one that is the bridge. When I am suspicious of the time, I say, will you check this? Because I've learned through sight and time, I gauge, okay, I bought this day, it's got to be eaten by these days. And I have kind of like a mental calendar for the foods. But my husband, he had never done so many meals. He had never planned, it's been a long time since my poor husband has planned meals, has cooked meals, and he kept apologizing, and he did a great job. He did a great job taking care of me. I mean, when you're not used to uh, getting up in the morning and making the tea and then doing your job and then making the breakfast and then doing your job and then making the lunch and doing your job and then making you get it, right? Those of you who have someone who does this for you, I'm sure you appreciate them. My husband kept saying, I really have a respect for you. He always has. He's always been great about it. I mean, because if I make myself tea, I make him tea. I don't even ask most of the time. If I'm making tea, he gets tea, except for this morning because he doesn't have to be to work until 3 o'clock. So I let him sleep in because I'm up at 7. Yeah. So why wake him up and go tea? You know what I'm saying? But I think that's why on Sunday he rested so well, because I took the reins back. So I made avocado toast for our brunch. I made tea, and then I got really tired because I've just come out of COVID. So he made lunch and he said, could you help me? Because one of the things that many of you agree, and post in the comments if you agree with me, is making the menu. Ay, ay, ay. I said this to my tribe on Patreon today. I don't think I'd need a big house or a fancy car, but one thing I'd really love is a chef. I'd really love to have a chef, someone who helped me plan the meals and then came in and cooked 3 times a day for us, maybe 2 times a day for us, because we eat our big meal in the middle. So if they, maybe they just come in, now that I'm talking to you, this could be something that I explore. I might just think to explore this, finding a chef that could maybe make lunch. That would just be beautiful. If I could hire someone to come in and make our big meal and plan the week, and I just sign off on it. So they get the proteins, they get because chefs really know their portions. And that would be just lovely for me. That would feel, honestly, like success to me. What would success feel like to you? But to me, having someone cook the meals and plan the meals, plan more than cook, because I find it fun to cook, but plan and cook that big meal of the day that's so important, needs to be healthy, needs to be low salt, needs to be, considerate of both of our situations as we get older, would be lovely. Because I have breakfast down, and at night we just eat like a yogurt and a banana, because very small meal before bedtime. Yeah, we might have a snack before bed, like an apple and cheese or something like that, just before we go to sleep. But not always, because I don't know if you've noticed this when you get older, but as we get older, we're eating less. And so we have to make sure we get our base calorie count in. So that's why I'm saying, when you're older, you start to say, what's important to me? You start to really think about what's truly important. So that's why when I talked about Bob Chapek and how Disney is a company that I love, their family. So the way that this guy is treating us as family is not as family. He's literally stabbing us every time. And I don't know why it continues to happen. And it confuses me, and it makes me very sad, because the product coming out of this company is not good. It's not good. You're not saying, you remember that day you saw Mandalorian and you went, wow, really? How excited you were? And now these other ones that are coming out, you go, oh, I can't wait to see it. Oh, I'm really excited about it. Maybe some of you really thought Ben Kenobi was fantastic, but it was a real bore for me. Really, I just hated that they made Ben Kenobi such a wuss. All of this psychobabble about, he hasn't used his powers much. Come on, guys. Come on, seriously. If you think about what you do, okay, your thing, just because you're retired doesn't mean that gets rusty and old and you don't keep using it. If you have a special ability, that special ability keeps happening. You may be doing it secretly. You may be doing it off the charts because it could create attention, but it doesn't mean you're not doing it. Yoda was 800 years old at the time of Empire Strikes Back. Okay, living alone on Dagobah, pretty much, with frogs and bog and whatever. But he didn't seem to have any problem teaching Luke Skywalker, did he? 800 years. So Ben Kenobi, don't be telling me that Ben Kenobi was rusty. And he acted more like the student when fighting Darth Vader than the teacher. Always. And that's a problem. Doesn't mean your student's not going to get the better of you at times. Because we've seen it happen, right? Watch Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, right? The bad guy gets a few digs in on Bruce, even though Bruce is a master. And if you watch Bruce Lee fight in Enter the Dragon, which is my favorite Bruce Lee movie, actually, you can see when he chooses to attack and when he chooses not to. One of my favorite statements he said is that the guy comes up and says, "What's your style?" And he says, "My style is fighting without fighting." And the guy says, "Fighting without fighting?" And he says, "Yes." And it's a great scene. And if you put that in your head, fighting without fighting, you'll see throughout the entire Enter the Dragon movie how well this is displayed. My point is this: a master is always a master. They don't just sort of hang it up on a shelf and let it sit for a while. It doesn't work that way. Okay? So Ben Kenobi was a real problem for me. Can you tell? So this is one of the challenges that I've got with Chapek. Disney has a very strong mission, has a very strong thing. And what I'm finding is, and I don't know if you're finding it too, I got to bring this down because I'm getting a little intense, aren't I? Walt Disney seems to be something that many in the Disney company, it feels like, let me just preface this by saying, it feels like they want to erase the words of Walt, who created Disney and the whole thing. You know, he wanted every age group to be able to enjoy Disneyland. So I'm sorry, I think this should be the mission. If you have costs going up as an amusement park, okay, I'll give it to you. And the first thing you don't do is stick it to the man. You don't stick it to people, which is what Bob Chapek is doing. Prices exploded. Don't seem to care. Then you go Genie Plus, don't seem to care. People are like, well, at least if I'm going to go out there, I use my time there because I got to make an appointment. I use it most efficiently. So if I have little children, Genie Plus is actually something that ensures they get to ride the rides because I'm flying out from up north or down south or across to go to it. So I want to make sure that the time I have, very limited, is utilized in the best way. I get that. But that's taking advantage a little bit. Okay. So there are ways that you can bring the cost down. I've mentioned them before, and we talk about them a lot on Patreon in my tribe. But also you could create, maybe go back possibly to days where certain hours where people could come in and just enjoy the atmosphere. Because there's a lot of people who come in that don't even ride a ride. They just want to meet their friends or shop or enjoy a Dole Whip, which I'm sorry, the Alani has a delicious Dole Whip, and they're Hawaii has got pineapples, but for some reason the Dole Whip at the Tiki Room is 10 times better than the Dole Whip at the Alani. I don't know why, but I had a Dole Whip. One of my tribe members, Evan Hunter, he invited me for his birthday back in, I think it was April. And we all had a Dole Whip. I got to tell you, that was the best tasting Dole Whip I've ever had. I don't usually go out and eat a lot of Dole Whip when I'm at Disneyland. Now, my mission is to go get one of those. So, and it's got to be the classic. I don't need any other, whoop-de-doo flavors in there. It doesn't need to have anything special, just the Dole Whip. Okay. I'm kind of a purist in that way. But my point is there are things that people want to do that don't have anything to do with the attractions. And yet you're paying for the attractions every time you go, aren't you? Whether you ride them or not. And then you're paying extra. Well, if you're someone who doesn't ride the rides or don't really care to ride the rides, or maybe it's just not your cup of tea. I'm one of those I'd rather visit. So I go and ride the ride to see what it's about once or twice, and then I'm kind of done. So that's me. Okay. And so it doesn't affect me. But just because it doesn't affect me, I see how it affects you, and that's what bugs me. But my point is that as a creator, Walt would be going, okay, if Walt were alive, and I know he's not, but Walt, you got to kind of say, what would Walt do? At least this is what I think you should do. And then you should ask people. So you ask people, what would Walt do? Blah, 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 etc. But he doesn't seem to want to do that. He seems to want to come up with all the answers, and nobody can come up with all the answers. I don't care how good you are. Even Walt didn't come up with all the answers, okay? Walt Disney had a team of people that he asked. He asked questions of, and they're known as the Disney legends, okay? He asked their assistants, Bob Gurr, Herbie Ryman, Marty Sklar, all of these names that you love, Ollie Johnson, all of these names, Rolly Crump, all of these names were people that he talked to. He asked, he said, what do you think about this? Let's collaborate. So you don't need to come up with all the ideas yourself. Bob Chapek is a perfect example why you don't sit there and try to have all the answers. Now, his hands may be tied by other people, but unfortunately, he's the face that has to face the music, isn't he? So there you go. Okay, what else we got here? That all came from taste, right, Darren? Hey, Dennis Ritchie. Stock is still dropping today. I rest my case. Usually what happens if stock's going up, nobody cares. The company goes, I don't care what you're saying. Our stock is going up. So, yeah. But that's not the case. Usually when stock falls, they go, bye-bye, because we're not liking what we're seeing. The only other person that might be happy that the stock is falling is buy now, because it will go up again at some point, hopefully. Don't know, because it's really crashing, guys, really crashing. So you're right, Dennis, absolutely. Hello, Linda Rolls. How are you? Thank you for popping in and saying good morning. Hello, Joseph. Good morning. Glad you're getting better. Hope you feel well enough to get to Disneyland. I've got my fingers crossed, but I got to take it easy. So we're going to knock off at an hour today, okay? After 60 minutes, I'm going to say goodbye because I need to. So my apologies, but I'm going to do that, okay? Maybe even earlier if you guys don't have anything to say, but we'll listen to whatever you say. I'll get through this as much as I can. Good morning, Terry. I said that already. See what I mean? Good morning, Terry. Happy to see you're feeling better. Thank you, Ava. I am doing better, but I have to be careful. Everybody's warning me. Hello, Andrew. All is better now. I don't have COVID anymore. Disney might be trying to drive down stock so they can buy it back up at a lower price. Possibly. I don't know that they're that smart, though, sweetheart. I want to give credit where credit due, but I'm not sure. In our case, I want to keep an eye on it, and I should talk to my financial advisor because I definitely want to add stock to my Disney portfolio when it gets low enough, because I believe in the company like you do, and Bob won't be there forever. So, but what I've heard from people is very what's the word? Makes a lot of sense, because who wants to take that seat? Because they're going to have to dig their way up in a hole to make our stock better, because Bob has really dug a deep hole and he keeps digging it. The problem is who's going to want to take it after 3 years? What are you hoping? That a Superman will come and take over the company? Bob Iger will say, hey, what was I thinking, and come back? I don't know. I don't know the thinking of board members, stockholders, the stockholders used to have some sort of say, but they don't really. It doesn't appear. Anyway, let me say it doesn't appear. I don't have my hand on the pulse of Disney and that sort of thing. But I will tell you that it just really seems like nobody's paying attention. So what are they hoping will happen by giving this man 3 more years? It's just scary. Linda says, glad you're better. I hope to see you at the park on the 17th. I am going to be there at least in the morning. I don't know if I'll be there for a long time. I'm going to do a test. I'm home most of my week. I've got one place I've got to go on Thursday, and I'm going to use that as my test. It's just a short jaunt. But I've been getting dizzy. If I get dizzy the day before, I'll have to cancel. But I'm not going to, jeopardize myself. It'd be great if someone else could drive and drive back. But I don't know if that's possible. So I just have to be really, really careful. Really, really careful. But yes, Linda, I want to see everybody there. I just don't want to miss it. Hello, Audrey. I saw your video. Do you see how I say it? I saw your video. I actually stopped it through the whole thing. I watched it all the way through first. It's a very strange video, by the way, but it's very interesting. And I stopped it to try and find you. Okay, because I had I was invested because you were there. So but I loved it. I loved seeing you in there doing your thing. It was great. And it's so good to see you. And Audrey's a part of the tribe, and she really is an inspiration. A young, energetic doer. So yeah, she's definitely, her voice is definitely something that I'm really happy is part of the tribe. So good to see you, Audrey. Sabrina Palu, evening Zoom call. Yes, Sabrina. Did you not get the email? Let me know if you didn't get the email. Because you're, as far as I know, you're still part of the tribe. You are. So yes, tonight at 6:30. So reach out to me, text me if you don't have the email, and I will do some digging, okay? Because I know you're part of the tribe. So yes, tonight at 6:30. And we miss you. We miss you, girl. So it'd be great to see you. Hello, Joseph. I had to pull that in so I could see you. I'm not a fan of Chapek either, but I've been hearing more and more online about how Chapek is cleaning up a lot of things put in motion by Iger. Politics in the movies, Genie Plus, and other issues. They're saying it would take a few years for Chapek's vision to change Disney. I don't know if I fully agree. Well, the problem is that we're watching it plummet. And I can't imagine, the Iger years weren't perfect. What we need to understand is nothing's ever going to be perfect. You're never going to be able to please everyone. Am I right? So, but during the Iger years, the stock was maintaining, and in some cases going up. And, correct me if I'm wrong, but this has been a downward spiral, and Chapek has suffered from foot and mouth disease on several occasions. So to blame it on what Iger's done is kind of pathetic. I'm not going to say that Iger didn't have a hand in some of it, but you can't say all of it was his fault. I mean, I guess you could, but I'm not going to believe you. I'm not going to believe you, not because I'm personal friends with Bob Iger, but I'm not going to believe you. No, not enough to give you 3 more years. No, I'm sorry. I just don't find this guy that likable. And I can't imagine they do it because he's a good person. Okay, I just haven't seen examples of that. Personally, I've not seen it. You tell me. Okay, you tell me. Randy says, I'll give you my thoughts on the Bob paycheck deal, the Zoom tonight. Yes, he's going to withhold his thinking. Yeah, keep that head down on a public channel. Thank you, Mikhail, thank you very much. I'm doing better since COVID. I look a lot better now than I did. So happy you're COVID free and feel better and feel better soon. Carla, testing negative was a big uplift. We had to test because my husband works from home and he's high risk. So the last thing I wanted to do was to give him COVID. And my mission was to keep him COVID free, even though I was super COVID person. I mean, when you take that, I don't know if when you take the rapid test, those of you who have not had COVID yet, they tell you that if these 2 lines show up, even if they're faint, you've got it. Well, mine looked like they took a Sharpie when I saw that I had been infected by COVID, it was like a giant, thick Sharpie down the middle. You've got it. So every time he took it, and that line kept showing, and that line was showing. In the first week, doctors interviewed me like crazy about my lifestyle, right? So they were telling me, you got to stay in quarantine for 5 days. And the first time you feel symptoms is day 0, not day 5. So there's actually 6 days. At least that's the way I'm counting it. But then they said you could walk around your house in a mask. Well, I don't see how that's different. If I was to go to sleep, I'm not going to sleep in my mask all night. So I stayed quarantined for the full 11 days or 10 days if you hear the CDC say it. Because you're counting from 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, So yeah, pretty bizarre, pretty weird, pretty unusual. But I was interviewed, where were you? Were you active? Where do you usually stay? What were you doing? How did you protect others? Did you protect others? Did you wear a mask? Just, and a lot of times it was like with questions from the CDC over and over and over again. And then they talked to me about how I should test. So I went for 6 days without testing, tested on the 7th day. And then I tested again on day 9 and 10. And 9 and 11. And so day 11 was the day that said, you're COVID free. Yay, get out of jail. So that's kind of the way it worked. And thank you, Carla. Appreciate it. I'm terrible at menu planning. Yes, Sabrina. And you also house sit. So I would imagine menu planning becomes challenging for you because you're so mobile. So that could be a challenge too. But menu planning is for artists. We'd much rather be working on our art and the food just show up. And then we need to be woken up. Hey, food is here. Eat it now. No, wait. Put the tools down. Put your sculpting tools down. Okay, now pick up the fork. Eat your food while it's hot. Yeah, seriously. It's like, I hate to say that in many cases with creative people, it's like working with little kids, but it's the truth. One of the things I loved, and if I can say love about anything COVID-19, my meals were hot because my husband made them. Because when I'm cooking, I never have a hot meal. My timing is so off. So how lovely it would be to have someone who could meal plan, and then I would get a hot meal. My tea would be hot 9 times out of 10. Just saying, not complaining, just saying that it's part of life, right? How many of you cook? Now, some of you who are experts at cooking probably can get it all to the table and everything warm or hot, but that's like 1 in 5 for me, honestly. Yeah. I'm still working on that. For years, I work on that. My husband says, heat lamps? No. Just trying to time everything, so that it all comes out hot. I'm getting better at breakfast more than any other meal. Yeah. Hey, Terry. Hey, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I had a little appointment. Hello, Joe. Siri decided to interrupt, so let me just kick her out. I guess she said, what can I do for you? Welcome, Joe. Welcome. I can plan, cook, and do it all for you, but DLR, chef, tech, consult, Susan says. Yeah. That'll be something to explore, right? Yeah. Something to think about, because it really is something that I would love to have. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'd love to have it. They sure do want to erase Walton, everything he believed. He's been regulated, says Joe, relegated to a cute mascot like Colonel Sanders. Eventually, they'll animate him, and that will be the only Walt some people will ever know. Well, the cool thing is about this, Joe Penny, is the Disney Museum in San Francisco. Because I remember when Roy Jr. was alive and worked quite a bit with Roy Disney Jr. And Roy, he and Diane made it their mission to get that museum built for this exact reason. Roy Jr. saw Walt fading, and he saw the company working very hard to make it fade. His words, not mine. And that's why he and Diane worked really, 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 really diligently to get that museum up and running before they passed. Because as much as you try to erase Walt down here in Southern California and other points, that museum is strong. And that museum is all Walt based. So as long as that holds true, it's very difficult to get to erase Walt completely, because you go there and you live it. You live the creation of Disney, you live the designing of Disney, you relive the pain of building a company like Walt Disney Pictures and building Disneyland, and you walk through the history, you learn everything. It's incredible. And it's right there. So it's really hard to, don't look over here, because they made it a big standing, amazing monument to his life. So that makes it more difficult to completely get rid of Walt. And, I'm not saying that if Colonel Sanders had a museum, he might have had the same thing. But the point is, Walt, it's going to be a lot harder to reduce him down to a cartoon. It really is. Me, I want to take Chapek's seat. I already know what I would do. Ooh, I like the idea, Joe. I like it. Maybe you should submit, because that's what my husband says. No one else wants to take the job. So I think you should write him a letter. No, seriously. I think you should. Show him your qualifications. One side, Bob Chapek, one side, Joe. And talk about how you could make a difference. Okay? Don't tell yourself that why would they even look at you? Because at this point, I think you've got one of the best ends possible. I don't think a lot of people want to take that job. But if you feel strong about what you just said right here, I say go for it. No, seriously, I'm not even making a joke. I'm not even making a joke. I seriously think you definitely could do a good job. I really do. Bob says, Joe, you are right. New cast members don't believe he was real. Melissa makes a good point, but it puts in jeopardy from a hostile takeover like back in the 70s. Yes, it does. Yes, there's a lot of things happening that are breaking our hearts. Yes, indeed. Okay, yeah. Oh, Tim Gillette. Hi, Tim Gillette. Love seeing you too. I'm going to be on the Wednesday call because Saturday I tested negative for COVID. So, woohoo! Yeah, no longer have it. Woohoo! Dizzy, no, don't go Disneyland. No bueno. Walt Disney was drunker. Walt Disney was a drunk, unlike Uncle Walt Disney. Indeed. Paul, hello, Paul. I'm going with the idea that outlook for the short term is scary. So the board decided to go with the devil they know. Exactly. Staying in the frying pan instead of jumping in the fire, Paul. I agree. It helps that a good chunk of the board are people that Bob's chose, which is not so good for us. So they don't want to second guess prior decisions. Yeah, that's the bad part. That's really the bad part. Yeah, Sabrina says, I don't know the specifics of the 17th, but I know Larry, Laura, and Nate are planning on doing Disney at some point that week. Yes, the 17th is Sunday, obviously. This Sunday is Disneyland's birthday, official birthday. I have got reservations for that day. And the only thing that would keep me from it is being is overdoing it this week. So this week, I'm going to take it easy. My version of taking it easy, which means I'm checking myself at every time after this broadcast. I'm going to relax and rest. Okay. Usually I would jump right into work, meal planning, whatever, but no, I'm going to cut it short today and I'm going to have a rest. Okay. Then I'm going to try and be very cognizant of what my body and my head and I'm going through so that Sunday I can go at all. Because like Joe says in kind of a funny way, you don't want to get behind the wheel if you're not 100%. It's just not good. It's not, good thinking. It's dumb thinking. So just don't kid yourself, because if something happens to you while you're behind the wheel, you put others in jeopardy beside yourself. Yes. So you've got to be careful. In fact, Friday, I wanted to go to the bank. I thought I'll be strong enough, but I still had COVID. I did not test clean and I was dizzy. So my husband went and he hadn't been in the bank in 2 years because I usually make the drops. But the point is that he was sweet enough to go. And I had to tell him, it's here and here. That's where the bank is because I always go. I just go. I just, it's not like you do these chores and you do these chores. I just do the chores that need to be done and he does the chores that need to be done. So we just are symbiotic that way. But the tables were turned when I got sick, and it would turn if he got sick. So when we get sick, the other one, bridges the gap, which is what couples do, should do anyway. And so he went to the bank and took care of it. But I was afraid to get behind the wheel and be too dizzy to maintain. And now I'm stuck. I'm pulled over, and then you got to try and get me back home. You know what I mean? Don't want to do that. No. Okay. Will you be at the D23 convention this coming September? I will be there. Yes, Mei Yang, on Friday and Sunday so far. More on that later as things are developing. I've got things in the works that I am doing to try and do more, but we'll see. We'll just see. Sometimes you reach out to people. Yes, sometimes it's a no, sometimes it's a I'm too, you don't get a response, but that doesn't mean you don't keep trying. You never give up. Never give up. We're all relieved that you're doing better. You definitely sound much improved and back to your usual self again. Thank you, Joe. Yes, indeed. Bob says, hire the tribe as consultants. Absolutely. Would that be a good idea, Joe? So you go take Bob's job, and then we're here to help you. Yeah, we'll back you up. Like Bob says, we got you. I agree. Hire the tribe members as consultants. Yes. See, Randy, this is the way they do it. As long as you come. Absolutely. They the tribe is step up people. I mean, people with integrity, So please understand that when I ask you to join, it's because I think you will really benefit from it. Period. End of story. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, how are you doing, Crumpet Puppet Troop? You said you weren't feeling good either for a while. How are you doing? As long as you arrive on set. Hot. Yeah. Of course. There may be a stipend in the deal for the use of Walt's name and likeness bearing animatronic of Walt Disney. Yeah, there might be. It's ironic that Walt Disney Family Museum is located near Lucasfilm headquarters at the Presidio in San Francisco. It is, but you remember that George Lucas sold his Star Wars franchise to Disney. So how much power does George really have anymore? It's a shame because he may not have been the best director, but he was the writer and creator of Star Wars, and I miss his input because it's really going off the rails. He's even said that it's going off the rails and what's going on with his characters, but they're no longer his characters, so he's kind of like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Sabrina says, I have a friend who does crafty and personal chef stuff in the industry, and I've regularly contemplated asking him for help menu planning, but I'd rather just play. Yes, exactly. You'd rather just pay him. I'm serious. What is success to you? Is it a fancy car? Is it a big house? Is it maids and servants? And what is it to you that says I've hit what my goals are? Me, it would be a chef. I mean, seriously. And that actually is doable. Maybe not today, but that's a goal that is achievable. Not that they all aren't achievable, but as I hit 65, I really question what goals I really want. I love a lofty goal, okay? But what do I really want is the question that I ask, right? Yeah. Team Joe. Exactly. Team Joe. Diane Miller was adamantly opposed to an animatronic of her father, of course, because it's freaky. My father-in-law was Keith Jackson, the sports announcer, very well known in his time, and they have a statue of him in front of the Rose Bowl. But truth be told, if you were to have asked Keith if he wanted a sculpture of himself in front of the Rose Bowl, he would have said no, which is probably the reason that it didn't happen until after he passed. Okay? Same with Walt. I don't think Walt really was so cool with a sculpture of himself. I mean, come on. As an artist, don't you think don't you feel sometimes that that's a little self-indulgent? Even though people want it, you feel funny when it's you. You know what I mean? I know I would. I think, put a statue in front of my house. Ooh, that's really, so I could imagine maybe he felt the same. See, not a Disney nerd. So I didn't know it was Disney's birthday. That makes sense. Yes, yes. The 17th is Disneyland's birthday. Yeah. Don't ask me what year, ask this group. This group will know and my tribe would know. Melissa says, I just made reservations for Cafe Orleans on Saturday. I'm taking myself out to lunch for my birthday. Hey, Melissa, that's a good idea. Cafe Orleans is really cute. I was impressed with Cafe Orleans. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Good for you. I'd start with a stock buyback and take the company private. Then I'd hire the tribe. And then keep going. I'm loving it. The Walt Disney Family Museum was established before Lucas sold Lucasfilm. Yes, it was. But everybody loved that area up there. Lucas knew that was a great area to build his empire, and he loved San Francisco. Okay. And, you also have Francis Ford Coppola up there, and Lucas and Coppola were close, very close to each other. They started Zoetrope. They were part of Zoetrope together. So Lucas was super, very instrumental in helping Francis Ford Coppola and vice versa. So yeah, they just they're a group of people that liked being in that area, and it happened to be Northern California. Yeah. The weather's the best up there, right? It's the best weather ever. So why not? It was established in San Francisco after. Yes, exactly. Hope you have a great day, my friend, and feel better. Thank you, Bob. I will, after other sites in Chicago and SoCal didn't pan out. Well, Southern California gets really hot, uncomfortable. And Lucas had a small place here called the Egg Company because I went to visit it. I visited it in 1980, I think. I visited the Egg Company, got to talk with the people and everything. But it was small because down here, our real estate was really insane. But up there were areas that you could still find good places. And George found one. Yeah. George just expanded. Yep. Hi, Paul. Disneyland would get lots of suggestions from cast members. There should be a Walt AA at the park. When I worked there in the 80s, yes, there was the advisory committee, right? They responded to Disneyland line that the park itself was the best tribute to him. Absolutely. And also, you were asked about merchandise. Asking a question doesn't show a sign of weakness. It shows a sign of strength, Paul. Asking the people, it saves you a lot. Saves you a lot of waste. I really am one of those people that doesn't like to waste time because you can't get it back. So wasting time is something that really drives me crazy. Asking you what you want really works. So in the case of the Rolly Crump chess set, which I will share with you at some point, it's going along fine. I will be there asking you. I'll pre-sell it. And the question will be, when I'm pre-selling it, who wants it before I ever make it? And that's because you tell me. You guys never are shy about that. So I really appreciate it. Yeah, a sign of success would definitely be being able to eat amazing food that makes me happy the whole the whole time, then planning around a budget and carry over meals one day. Exactly. I just think that would be the best. I think that's something that would, and I could do more art. That would be the most efficient thing. Yeah. I'd love to visit Disney Family Museum one day. Also the Hometown Museum in Marceline. Yes, I'm glad you said that, Joseph, because I have to write to Marceline. They're no longer going to do Toon Fest, they've informed me. So I want to reach out to them. They have a master's series where they've asked me to come and speak, and I need to keep on that. They could keep on it, but they're looking for a bunch of people. So here's something you should know, that if you're someone who wants to speak or do something, that you got to be the one to Shawshank them, not vice versa. Don't expect them to invite you. Just reach out and say, hey, you mentioned this. How's it looking? Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Last one here. Leo says the Walt Disney Family Museum landed in San Francisco Park because the family was based in Napa, and all the family owned assets displayed in 2001 at the Reagan Library were shipped from a warehouse from the Presidio, and the exhibit closed. Exactly. But still, You know, you're not going to beat that view of the bridge that they have of the Golden Gate. Only Disney could do such a wonderful view of the bridge, in my opinion. Okay. So that's when everything came together. Everything snicked together, Leo, perfectly, in my opinion. We're over an hour. Time's up. Exactly. So, guys, Terry, fingers crossed. We look forward to seeing you at the birthday. We are working on it. Okay. I will keep you posted. But as Joe says, we're 9 minutes over, which is great. It's a great goal because I wanted to get there, and I appreciate you guys helping with me with this so I can rest. So I love you bunches. Consider joining Terry's tribe if you have a voice that you'd like to continue to be heard. $5 a month, $60 a year. Skip a few things and you can do it. Save your pennies and you can do it. You know, what is that? The quarter? What is it? You put a quarter in a jar a day, 30 days, 30 quarters. So five is what? Five is 20 quarters. So if you put a quarter in a jar, you could pay for your tribe at $5 a month. Just saying, where there's a will, there's a way. Don't give up. Love you. Hugs, kisses. We'll talk soon. Leo says later. Bob says, yep. As much as we miss you, we have to take care of you. And I love you for it. Everyone, have a wonderful week. Same to you. Guys, do something nice for someone else. It'll make you feel a whole lot better. And I will see you Friday.